Remember that intense air traffic in the movie The Fifth Element? Well, today everything goes towards making that world a reality. Luxury flying cars, air cabs for passengers and cargo, individual cars for flights, and motorcycles soaring above ground are all going to become a reality, and some of them can already be purchased today. To see everything about what cars will be flying in the near future, watch this video today. Let's fly! The most luxurious flying car was presented last year by the Chinese electric car manufacturer XPeng, and in the video the concept car drives down the road and then unfolds its rotors and rises into the air. It was reported that mass production of the car will begin in 2024 and will cost $157,000. However, the latest test video suggests that development is very much in its early stages and unlikely to have wheels. Recently, French inventor Frankie Zapata, who gained fame thanks to a flying board of his own design, moved to a more comfortable mode of transport, a single-seat VTOL that stands for Electric Vertical Takeoff and Landing Aircraft, or Jet Racer in this case. The kerosene-powered vehicle is equipped with 10 jet engines, allowing it to reach speeds of up to 250 km per hour. The Jet Racer is equipped with a pilot's seat and can be operated either manually or remotely. It can carry loads of weights up to 300 kilograms, ascend to heights of 3,000 meters, and perform various tricks. The engineer hopes that the vehicle will interest civilians and the military, as well as what it could become for more of a commercial serial product. Remember that Zapata's hoverboard never did, though it brought fame to the inventor. The Jet Racer is more stable than the board. Zapata just has to prove that it's also safer. Let's wish the inventor success, especially since other manufacturers of flying cars are already receiving their orders. Joby Aviation signed a $75 million contract with the United States Department of Defense to supply a batch of eVTOL vehicles for the Marines. The air cabs will also transport military cargo, evacuate wounded soldiers, and transport personnel to hotspots outside of combat scenarios. The Joby units are designed for 4 passengers and can fly up to 240 kilometers at 320 kilometers per hour. The contract with the military will allow the company to bring the model to the commercial version and improve its functionality and reliability, which will also help the startup create an air cab service. Remember, Joby Aviation already has a certificate to operate as an air carrier. With a couple more licenses slated for 2024, the company will be able to launch urban and suburban transportation across the country. Major automobile concerns are not lagging behind startups. VW Group China, a Chinese subsidiary of Volkswagen, recently unveiled its vertical takeoff and landing air cab with autopilot and a range of 200 kilometers. The Flying Tiger will be able to carry up to 4 passengers with luggage for a distance of 200 kilometers. This X-Wing drone has 8 climbing rotors on outrigger beams and 2 pusher propellers for horizontal flight. The company created it specifically for the Chinese market and will sell it as a premium product for personal and corporate use. In the Chinese market, which is likely to be the first and biggest for eVTOLs in the next few years, the competition will also be very serious. For example, the national automobile concern Geely recently unveiled the TF2 flying car developed by its subsidiary Aero Fugia. This is a fully electric 5-seat flying car with a vertical takeoff and landing capability that has 0 emissions and low noise levels, designed for active commercial operation in urban and intercity areas. A full-size TF2 prototype is now assembled and off the assembly line, and it's expected to make its first flight by the end of 2022. The company will focus on 2 markets, low-altitude travel and low-altitude logistics within 500 kilometers. While Volkswagen and Geely did not experiment much with the design and construction of vehicles, the Canadian startup Horizon Aircraft decided to stand out and presented its flying car with unusual wings. So far, the eVTOL Cavorite X5 exists only in the video of a halved prototype, and it's undergoing tests of design, engines, and software. It's expected to have a range of up to 500 kilometers and be able to accelerate up to 450 kilometers per hour. The fixed wings of the Cavorite X5 include bolt-in rotors, which will allow the device to engage only during takeoff and landing. Thus, the designers decided to reduce drag in order to increase speed and range. In the meantime, the demand for air cabs is growing. In early August 2022, the carrier United Airlines made a $10 million deposit to Archer Aviation in anticipation of delivering the first 100 electric air cabs with vertical takeoff and landing capability, which are expected to take travelers to the airport quickly, safely, and with minimal impact on the environment. In all, as part of the $1 billion contract, the startup is poised to deliver 200 vehicles designed in a single system with ground infrastructure and regulations. Production of aerotaxis is due to start in 2023, and the first commercial flights will take place as early as 2024. It's assumed that the first aircraft on a single charge will be able to cover about 100 kilometers at 240 kilometers per hour, but in the future, their range can be increased. At the same time, Hyundai and Rolls-Royce have signed an agreement to jointly develop and launch their own hydrogen-powered aerotaxi. The agreement provides for a creation of new vehicles for different sectors of air mobility, from urban air cabs to full-fledged aircraft. At the same time, Hyundai will be engaged in silent and environmentally friendly propulsion systems, while Rolls-Royce will take on the development of the aircraft themselves and procedure for their certification. Demonstration of the prototype is expected in 2025. During this, Hyundai is working on its own aerocab, which will be launched by 2028 in the US. So far, only the cabin, which was developed by the aviation division of concern, namely Supernaural, has been presented. The 5-seat cabin is designed in a bio-design style and equipped with 5 lightweight seats, 4 for passengers and 1 for the pilot. Joysticks are built into the armrest of the front seats to control flight, and the pilot only has a large display. One more screen facing the passengers installed on the panel separating the pilot's workspace. Suzuki did not develop personal aeromobiles, but signed a strategic partnership agreement with the Japanese startup SkyDrive. In addition to participation in the development, Suzuki will help the startup with its entry into new markets, primarily India. The official announcement claims that 2 companies will cooperate not only in development, but also in setting up mass production of flying cars. In addition, Suzuki and SkyDrive will explore the potential of foreign markets together, and remember that SkyDrive is set to launch its network of aero cabs as early as 2025 at the World Expo in Osaka, Japan. However, some companies still think this is all a joke. For example, Renault, for the 60th anniversary of the 4L model, put the body of its car on a large quadcopter frame. The car was named Air 4 and it can actually fly. It's powered by a 22,000 mAh lithium polymer battery pack. Air 4 can fly horizontally at speeds of 26 meters per second and 45-degree inclines. The maximum possible inclination is 70 degrees. Ascent speed can be up to 14 meters per second, but for safety reasons, it's limited to 4 meters per second. Descent time is 3 meters per second, and theoretically, this quadcopter can fly at heights of 700 meters. There are flying cars for personal use as well. For example, the Air Car, which has already shown flights for roughly 35 minutes. The 1.1-ton vehicle is powered by a 1.6-liter BMW motorcycle engine with 160 horsepower. The Air Car can lift passengers and cargo up to 200 kilograms. The car already had 40 flight hours at altitudes of up to 2,500 meters. The production version of the car will receive 300 horsepower engines, with range at 1,000 kilometers and cruising speeds of 300 kilometers per hour. During all of this, there's still the great interest in personal and relatively budget flying cars. For example, the hyper-popular single-seat copter from the Swedish company Jetson was sold out for a year in advance immediately after the start of pre-orders. The Jetson 1 is a single-seat vertical takeoff and landing vehicle with an aluminum body that costs $92,000. It has 8 electric motors and propellers. Lithium-ion batteries are enough for 20 minutes of flight with a pilot weighing up to 95 kilograms, and then you need an hour of charging from a 220-volt network. The maximum altitude is 450 meters. The copter itself is almost 2.5 meters long and weighs only 86 kilograms and comes slightly disassembled. But most importantly, the Jetson 1 does not require a pilot's license to fly it. It uses a 3-axis joystick and a thrust control lever to control it. Jetson 1 has a hands-free phone system and emergency call functions. Also, the unit can continue flying even if one engine fails. As a last resort, Jetson 1 has a built-in ballistic parachute. In other markets of personal flying and transport is the Japanese startup X Turismo, which launched sales of its flying motorcycle X Turismo Limited for $777,000. Now the company is preparing for an IPO and assures there is a high interest in their development on the part of Middle Eastern countries. The motorcycle accelerates up to 80 kilometers per hour and can fly for 40 minutes on a single battery charge. It looks like a jet ski with large air motors on the sides. X Turismo Limited is not designed to fly at high altitudes, and it's intended for crossing ponds and impassable terrain where there's no normal road access. Judging by the number of players and the amount of investment, soon the sky, at least in some countries, will be filled with flying cars, and not necessarily that they'll be driven by actual pilots. So the engineers from Carnegie Mellon University have presented the most advanced algorithm for controlling flying vehicles in congested airspace. The developers trained artificial intelligence to imitate the actions and reasoning of a professional pilot, but at much higher speeds. And now the new AI pilot can not only fly, but also communicate with dispatchers and other pilots, as well as track neighboring aircraft and coordinate their actions. The algorithm operates fully autonomously and uses computer vision with a 360-degree field of view, as well as natural language, which corresponds to intuitive communication between people. Unmanned aerial vehicles are being prepared for introduction in Great Britain. The world's largest highway, Skyway, at 265 kilometers long, will soon appear there. It will allow drone couriers, air cabs, and other vehicles to move freely. The superhighway will be equipped with collision detection and prevention technology, which will accurately track the vehicles. The Skyway project aims to combine airspace over several major cities and rural areas. Do you believe in the future of flying cars? Let us know in the comments, and while you're here, subscribe to the Pro Robot channel. Also, check out our Instagram, and don't miss any new episodes from the world of high tech.